All right, something a little bit different today. I've gotten some requests for Vim advice. So I thought I would run through Vim Tutor, which is a program that comes with Vim. And you probably could just run this. And it's like a intro to Vim lesson, explains stuff. So I'm just going to run through this and explain the parts that I find important. Okay, telling us we can use HJKL instead of the arrow keys. I don't know. For a long time, I just used the arrow keys. Now I sometimes use HJKL. I find them to be simpler. And the arrow keys more intuitive. Exiting Vim. This is an important thing to know, even if you don't use Vim. Sometimes you can get stuck in Vim, and it's a little confusing. Colon enters command mode, and then Q is quit. That's... Oh, and I guess you also need to be in normal mode. So escape, colon, Q. Obviously, that you would exit a text editor. Alright. Deletion. Sure. And delete things. X. Ocean. Yeah, so we've been in normal mode this whole time. I know why it's called that. But anyway, that's where like letters that you type do commands. It's actually letters. So we can hit I to enter insert mode, where when we type, like, stuff actually gets typed. A and I don't know. I guess that's useful, right? I mean, the point is like your cursor is between two characters. So I is like these. Let me type before the character that my cursor is on, and A is let me type after the character my cursor is on. But you can also just move the cursor after you hit I. And save WQ, WQ. That's important. Why it keeps the CF8 thing. Lesson 1. The arrow keys or HJKL. We can exit, we can save. All right, let's learn. Vim has all these like cool motion stuff. B is to line. W is to delete a word. I don't know. I find the line motions to be useful, but the word motion is too complicated for me. I don't really use it. Yeah, I do use this though sometimes. Like that's useful. Line, which sometimes I was trying to explain to motions. W is for word. DE. I don't know the difference between W and E. Honest. As I said, $sign I find useful. Right, we can like multiple. So fancy. Too fancy for me. But if, you can do this, I guess. And then I guess the point is that not take the way. The point is that W is the beginning of the word and E is the end of the word. Okay, I do use 0 and $sign to move to the beginning and the end of the line, so that's helpful. But yeah, the interword motions too fancy for me. Yeah, I do use this. Well, I don't use it with words, as I said. But like 2DD deletes 2 lines. I use that all the time. Apparently, it doesn't really matter where you put the 2. That vaguely makes sense. But yeah, I find it confusing that, like, you know, the word motion does something different here. I guess it kind of makes sense. Beginning of the next word. Anyway, what were we gonna do? Delete this random jumper. Okay. Delete a whole line. This is super useful. I use it all the time. Helpful. Second line. UDD also super useful. The number bigger than 2. I just want to delete an entire block of code or something. Typing like 5dd right now, and you can always use U to undo whatever you did. About to tell us. Yeah, U is super useful. Try out stuff and you can always undo it. That is fix errors. And replace them with are we replacing them? Do your undos. Yeah, I do use lowercase u all the time. I do not use lowercase u ever. Just hold down lowercase u, and then it does stuff pretty fast. You really need to do stuff faster than that. $, super useful. Beating things a number of times, super useful. Do, super useful. They didn't actually, okay, yeah. DD is like the most useful thing so far. Very helpful. Read a block of code. It requires you to guess sort of how many lines it is, but you can always just, so something that I frequently do is, you know, sort of like a binary search or something, right? Let's say I want to delete you here. Well, that's like maybe 5 lines. No, it was actually 7 lines. So I could just try 5dd, u, 7dd. And then I guess they haven't covered it yet, but that also is basically copy paste. Right, I can move this now down there. I guess we'll get to that right now, in fact. Great how I keep wanting to explain things and then they cover them. I guess the tutorial, you know, follows what I was thinking. Yeah, so dd to delete this line, and then we paste it under C. So when you have a line, so when you delete something, it sort of saves it off in this like temporary place, and then it pastes after. And I guess I'm trying to think like why deleting a line should paste, you know, on a new line rather than like the middle of this line. And I don't know. I think it's like different if it has a whole line in its buffer than if it just has some text in its buffer. Right? If I just delete the code of the line, it, you know, pastes in the middle of C. But I'm not really sure like why that is, but it's useful. Like fine behavior. Are we supposed to be able to these lines? Probably. Yeah, this is occasionally useful. I don't know. I usually prefer to just enter insert mode. Apparently, this has some thing trying to force me to do. Yeah, I don't know. This is occasionally useful. Also, like, able to let you edit the cases stuff. Random. Learning by doing. Yes, people should do things. Reading things is not a good way. Should go to your journal and type Vim Tutor. Go through this lesson. See, E, change the word. Again, E is too easy for me. But sure. Looked fine in that example. Yeah. I don't really use C because you can just use D and then like A, but I don't know. It's fine. Yeah. To be corrected using the C command, and there's an space there for some reason. Sure. This is super important. Whenever you delete anything, it goes into copy paste buffer, and then you can paste it somewhere else. So like that is how you do copy paste. Delete things with the verb, I guess. Paste them again with P. R, I don't know, fine. It saves like a little bit of typing. It's not like do the same thing with like a backspace, whatever character you want. Not helpful, but it's a minor optimization. C is also just like a minor optimization. I don't think I really use it. This is useful. Control G tells me what line I'm at, so we see that we're halfway done with this lesson. Also tells me the column number, which is sometimes useful. Let's see. I guess there's some options. Yeah, so fairly useful. Line number down here and the column number here. So they want us to remember that we're on line 494, and then note that we can use G to move to the top of a file, GG to move to the top, and capital G to move to the bottom, which is actually helpful. And then we can also move to a specific line by typing number line. So now I'm on 30 because I typed 30 capital G. To get back to where I was, I can type 494 capital. Yeah, this is super useful. Being able to sort of round it files quickly. I guess it's hard to know what what line number you want. That new just turns on line numbers in Vim, but also yeah, like scroll through the file this way, and like I mean in this example the file is kind of long, so jumping the top and the bottom it's not that helpful, but in general it is pretty helpful. Search. This is like incredibly important, very, very useful. Jump to text, right? Like Control F, but you don't use the mouse at all. Just search for things. So now I have a search for this weird misspelling of error, and I can hit N to going through. So like find all the places this function was called in this file or something. And also capital N goes backwards. You can also like start the search backwards with question mark, which is I don't know, fine. And then capital N goes forwards. It's kind of confusing because you can capital N to go back and forth, so you don't another way to do that. But it exists. Control O. Wow. Despite loving the search feature, I have never used Control O. To know, I guess. Probably not good to know, because I do not find it to be. Can't you just hit like capital N or something to go back to the previous search result? Wrap scan. Okay, well, it's good that the search continues next search file, so I don't know what wrap scan is for. I guess maybe we can find out. It sounds like a bad idea though. Hold on. I see. I guess if we didn't have that, maybe it would go off. Would not say like no text found or something. But it's pretty useful that it goes back to the beginning. Yeah, % for parentheses matching. This is actually kind of useful. You can see, especially if you have like some kind of error where you got closing paren or whatever, you can see where the matching is, or if you just want to like skip a function definition, right, blah, 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 you can just jump to the beginning and the end of the function with %. Yeah, it's useful. Substitute. This is super important. I like to use, you can use anything as the separator. It doesn't need to be /. I like to use exclamation point for some reason. That not actually doing. G means change everything on a line I guess by default, it'll only change the first one on the line. Usually you want G, because why would you only want to find replace the first thing? Also, yeah, this is also important, is like the scope of substitution. Typically, you want either %, which is like in the whole file, or like dot, which is the current line. $sign means end of file. You can also do like dot plus 20 to just like affect roughly the current screen. Pretty useful. GC is useful because it actually prompts you. It asks us each time if you want to replace. What I usually do, because going through the prompt is pretty quick, and that way you can actually like see what is changing. Whereas if you just run it without confirmation, it's kind of hard to tell what it actually did because it's fast. But yeah, substitute is incredibly important. Getting the Vim regular expression language is a little wonky sometimes, like when you have to escape special characters. But you can put any like regex here, not just like a literal string. And then there's also some stuff about like back substitute a capture group. But yeah, substitute, super important, super useful. Yeah, find replace. Slash for find and S, :S for find replace. Those are super useful things. Yeah, this is a solid. Everything in this lesson is useful. Jumping to line numbers, very useful. Beginning and end of files, pretty useful. Searching, just incredibly important. Backwards searching, not important because you can use capital N to do backwards search. Not important. Quite useful. Just incredibly useful. But you should almost always be, because the first in a line behavior is random. I usually use C as well, so I can actually see what it did. And then like which lines you want to operate on. %file. Dot is like current line, so like dot plus 20, like dot to end of file. So I don't know, name new to old, and we can like go through them all. Execute external. Yeah, I always forget this for some reason. That means it's not useful. Colon ls this file, or ls this directory. That may be useful. There's also a way to like paste the current command file, which I guess they'll tell us. I don't know. I usually just quit out of Vim and execute the external command in my normal shell instead of Vim shell. I guess that's why I don't. But there's some reason why you don't want that. I think Vim is like reasonably good at just showing me where I am. Although this, I guess this particular buffer is kind of weak. It's in some items. Instead of like navigating the lines correctly, I'm just hitting down, which scrolls reasonably fast. Good. Yeah. Loading files, or W file name. I never use this. Shell, like Vim with the correct file name, or if I want to rename a file, MV shell. I don't know why Vim needs to be a shell for me, but whatever. If for some reason you don't like to edit your editor, I guess this is fine. Or you don't want to like exit your editor, I guess it's useful to be able to do shell stuff in your editor, but I am fine exiting my editor all the time. Stuff in the shell. Yeah, visual stuff. I don't know. I guess this is useful. Although this particular, clearly I have it configured terribly because this like making it so you can't see stuff seems not that helpful. I don't really use this. Oh, and they're telling you can like write random sets of lines, files. Why would you ever want to do this? I don't know. I don't know why you would want to do it. Leaving files. Yes, this is good, I think. Code for problem. You can see the parenthesis matching in action. It's great. and delete these 5 lines. This is occasionally useful, although I always forget how to do it. But yeah, apparently you do :r file name, paste the file, which, as I say, pretty useful. That was just me holding down the basically lines. I could have also like guessed how many lines or something. Yeah, having the motions repeat quickly is useful so that you don't have to count. Anyway, thing copies. I did not do the piece. But I think that saving random bits of lines to files. Yeah, I guess I could have. 5 summary. Yeah, it's about doing good stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm being like too close-minded. The only thing that I find useful here is this thing. Oh, yeah. Also, this sometimes, although I always forget the syntax. Apparently, R and then exclamation point command. Paste the command. So we can like RLS. This is sometimes useful. That. Sure. O goes to like next line. That to capital O. I don't know. Go to the place that I want to type, and then I hit I. I don't find it that useful to memorize all these different things to combine. What if you could type that like do I in a slightly different place? I do not find this useful. A, again, go to the place that you want. Actually, A is occasionally useful because if you want to add to the end of a line, you cannot do that with I. So that's a good A. Yeah, allow me. A, I, and A are all the same. What is capital A? Find out. Goes to the end of the line. I did not know that. So, cool. Except capital I goes to the line. There is. Fascinating. There are just so many short keys. Cursor. Capital R replaces more than one character. Weird replace mode. I don't know. I don't like this. Game already has enough modes. But sure, I would prefer to just CW, I guess, and type. I feel like normally I get into this mode by accident, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan. Copy paste. Yeah, this is very important. What are we supposed to be? So for how deleting stuff like puts it in the copy paste buffer. Well, if you want to put it in the copy paste buffer without deleting, you can do Y instead of D, which just copies it. Y for yank, apparently. Yeah, obviously people yank copy. Set ignore. Yeah, this is true. You can do this. I feel like the defaults are fine. And you don't usually want to ignore case. Guess you can do that. Yeah. Y is a useful thing to the rest of this is not that useful. Help. Yeah, I just use people better. Help. But you know, if you actually know what you want, then it's fine. Like if you have some specific like command that you're not sure about, fine. I know what Y does. Startup script. Yes. vimrc is a little bit useful, although the defaults are mostly fine. But occasionally you'd like just show you my vimrc and you can see that I have not worked on it. .vim from beeping at me all the time, although I think it was just tabs of length 2, good to me. Also no tabs in files, just spaces, that seems good to me. And then we get to some weird package manager stuff that I don't like. And OCaml stuff, mostly weird OCaml stuff. Don't use OCaml. So there you go. Have not done a lot of work on my vimrc, but these options are useful. Do it close to the end. Sure. Yeah, it doesn't like give us a list of options, sort of like tabs through them. I mean, again, if I don't want to use Vim for my shell. I just want to use my shell for my shell. I don't find this that useful. But if for some reason you wanted to use Vim for your shell, then sure, that sounds useful. E is short for edit? No, it's short for a bunch of other random crap. Okay, great. Yeah. Help, Google, W. Oh, go to the help window. Okay, but instead of help, you could just use Google, and then you wouldn't need to learn about the help UI. Q to close the help window. Yes, if Vim pops up random windows, then you can close them back to the file you're editing. That is useful because that happens. vimrc. Yeah, I mean, vimrc is good. I do not know very well what to put in it. I have a couple options I like. And when you're doing, yeah, okay. I mean, the problem with the colon commands is, what are they? I guess there's S. Gonna be helpful. Apparently there are a lot of them that start with S. Sure. Okay, Control D is how you get that. Okay, that was all of Vim Tutor. So hopefully that was cool. And you know, I find like roughly half of this stuff to be useful and half of it to not be useful. So I don't know. Probably the best thing to do is to just, you know, use Vim a lot, and you'll figure out what parts you like and what parts you don't like. But those are the parts that I like. Hope that was helpful.